What is up, YouTube? It's Kingfisher745, and welcome to episode 32 of All Hail the King. In this episode, we're going to feature team-ups for the Spec Ops 21 reward hero, Ka-Zar. I have to say, Ka-Zar is a very solid hero, and all the team-ups in this video played very well. In fact, there were no losses when I was getting this footage, but there will be a bonus video which you can find a link to in the outro. As for the podcast segment that introduced these team-ups, you can find it at www.thehelicarrier.com, or go ahead and click the link in the description below. Now the first team up that I want to show you with Ka-Zar happens to be one of the Warriors 3 Fandral himself. If you're wondering why we chose Fandral, well, he's a solid character all the way through, but also his Flynning Circus can apply 3 times bleeding to the entire enemy team. Not only can Ka-Zar apply bleeding himself, he also has a hemorrhaging attack and Hunter's Senses. Hunter's Senses says he'll take 10% less damage for each application of bleeding on the attacker. Couple that with his survival training and you have quite a tank. Now I do have to say this team really did dominate quite a few of the opponents, and you can actually find one of those beatdowns in the bonus video. But for this one I did choose one of the better opponents, or at least an opponent with some endurance. Certainly Magneto, the Solar Storm, and the Magnetic Field do help with that. So with my agent, I'm going to have to use the Blackest Void, and that way we can get rid of that Magnetic Field. Oh, and also of course Combo Breaker is going to be a pain. But hey, we still got a Riposte, so that means we did place the power on the enemy agent. Not only that, Ka-Zar steps up to protect, and he's going to get away with a counter. So there goes a Zabu Pounce, and you have to love that saber-toothed tiger. On Fandral's turn, we can see Depower and Exhausted on the enemy agent, but I'm going to go ahead and use the Flynning Circus. Now with 3 times bleeding on all the enemies, Ka-Zar is going to take 30% less damage. That's going to be with Hunter's Senses alone, not even factoring in survival training. So let's go ahead and use a Primal Roar to make him a protector, and then I'm going to use his level 1 on the enemy agent. And truthfully, I don't know why we didn't use our level 2 instead, or even our level 9. That would have been a much better option. But don't worry, these enemies aren't going to get out of this one without getting hit with the jungle combo. As soon as Ka-Zar gets to go again, I will use his level 9. But first, we would get a counterattack. Unfortunately, Combo Breaker does ruin it. So on Fandral's turn, we'll use On Guard, and then we'll just have to wait and see what Iron Fist does. First, he will take his bleed damage, and then he uses the Healing Chi on the enemy agent. So that's unfortunate, but we do have a big AoE attack coming ourselves. This attack has Exploit Attrition and Exploit Opportunity, also it is catastrophic. Emphasis on the cat. It all but finishes the enemy team, so all we have to do is a little bit of damage, and our team will easily win this one. Really, they barely even hurt us. So even though this was probably the hardest match that this team had, which is kind of funny, Ka-Zar and Fandral still dominated the competition. With my agent's final attack, I'll go ahead and use the Memento Mori and make sure the enemy agent can't heal. Then on his turn he should easily die to dots. Then with Fandral we'll just go ahead and use Have At Thee, and that should finish off the Heroic Age Iron Fist. Now with that team putting on a pretty good showing and with a match in the bonus video, I'm going to go ahead and move on to Shanna and Ka-Zar. For this team I've also changed my agent setup, and now I'm using the Scroll of Aknazsak, the Neurotrope, the Savage Spear, and the Synthetic Cube. In this particular match, it is going to be the longest one by far, and that is something I've noticed about this team. It's not that they aren't good, but their matches did take on average 2 to 3 times longer than the other team-ups. With that being said, they were never in any serious trouble, and if you want to see another one of their matches, it will also be in the bonus video. My agent's first attack will be the Noxious Strike, and that's one great thing about the Savage Spear is it really does work well with Shanna. All the attacks from the spear either apply poisoned or count as poisoned. Shanna's passive Hunter-Gatherer reduces incoming damage from poison attackers by 20%, and she performs a follow-up attack on single target attacks against poison targets. Now her level 9 Off the Vine is a stealthy attack that places flanked and disoriented on the enemy. Since we're using it on Groot who already has poisoned, we get to follow up with a Spear Vault. This means we added even more debuffs to Groot, including Winded, Hobbled, and Cornered. That's another thing you'll notice is many of Shanna's debuffs actually count as Opportunist. So in other words, they'll help out Ka-Zar's level 9, which exploits opportunity. Oh, and the enemy agent apparently really likes the mass acceleration shield, but now that it's Ka-Zar's turn, we'll use his protect, and you can choose to either protect your agent or Shanna, whoever you think is more vulnerable. Then next, I'm going to use his level 1, and that will do a knife slash, and since we have flanked on Groot, he'll follow it up with his level 2. Unfortunately, that attack misses, but it also has hemorrhaging, so he does take bleed damage, and then he takes the actual dot on his turn, and that disoriented kicks in, so he attacks his own Star-Lord. With my agent, I'm going to use the second seal as a quick action, then I'm going to gain Momentary Advantage, which will let me use the Light Fantastic and attack with the Savage Spear. I suppose we'll go ahead and attack Groot, which will definitely drop him into cutting form. That's at least going to be one character all but out. As long as we finish him off before his next turn, he won't be a problem anymore in this battle. Next up is going to be the enemy Star-Lord, and we'll see what he does, but I'm not too worried about it right now. Okay, and there was an odd glitch with Groot where he went into cutting form twice. I guess that was because of flanked in our agent's follow-up attack. Star-Lord's Quantum Leap only heals us, and now with Shanna, I'm going to use Serpent Strike on the enemy agent. We might as well hit him with Poisoned, and also in the process we'll gain Berserker. By the way, this agent doesn't seem to have any attack weapons, so he's most likely just going to use the cube. But first, he will take some poison damage, and then yes, he's going to use the Blackest Void. Unfortunately, that means we are disoriented, but after using our Primal Roar, I'm going to use our AoE attack with Ka-Zar. I'm certainly not going to risk hitting our own team, and this move is catastrophic. Okay, but even though it's catastrophic, we end up hitting just their agent. That is unfortunate, but I think we'll be okay. In fact, Ka-Zar is going to protect against Lit Up, and he also counterattacks. Then on my agent's turn, since we have the third seal unlocked, I'm going to go ahead and use that, and it places Despair on all the enemies. This means that Groot cannot gain any health back. Next I'll use the Improbability Field, and at least heavily debuff the opponents. Star-Lord does get to attack yet again, but bad news for him, he's going to get protected against, and also counterattacked. If only he would have had bleeding, he would take so much damage from hemorrhaging. On our Shanna's turn I could attack, but I'm actually going to use Nature's Bounty. This ability can be amazing because it does a huge heal, removes debuffs, and gives Shanna 2 actions in the next round. The only sad thing is against this enemy team, no one was actually hurt. Okay, and their Light Fantastic won't really help them because of Despair, but they're also going to use the Improbability Field. This time with Ka-Zar, we'll use his level 6, which by the way you could put a Gracious A-ISO on, and also the Sympathetic E-ISO. So yeah, that's just something to think about. And we do end up targeting the enemy agent on purpose, that way we can finish off Star-Lord. Groot of course is not going to gain back any health, and so after using the Neurotrope, I'll use Momentary Advantage, the Savage Spear, and just wait until you see this big finish. I'm actually going to pull out the 4th seal of Aknazsak, just to show you what would have happened against a team that stalled. So yeah, maybe your team is resilient, and you're going to try to wear out your opponents. Well, just look at all these turns in a row, 6 of them to be exact. There is no team that's going to stand up to that. But hey, this one's only going to take 1 attack, and that's going to be a jungle combo. Now moving on to our third and final team up, this one may be the most overpowered. From the very first look at Ka-Zar, I knew Anti-Venom would be the perfect team up, and I can tell you as well as show you that this team did not disappoint. Depending on the enemy and your turn order, you can absolutely annihilate the enemy teams. This battle is going to be a pretty good proof of that, but remember they do have survival training, so the next battle will be the perfect example. Just make sure you stick around for that one and don't blink. As for the Guardians, as I said, they do have survival training, but I can assure you that this beastly team is going to take them down. So far we used the Ex-Oblivion, and now with Anti-Venom we can use I Am the Cure. Both of those attacks puts a ton of debuffs on the opponent, and so right after Groot's turn, we're going to use our level 9 with Ka-Zar. Now if you want to see what a jungle combo can do, just watch this. First of course I will use Primal Roar, and then right after that we're going with our level 9. Against many other team-ups, this would absolutely level their entire team in one hit. But like I said, even against the Guardians of the Galaxy, this is pretty impressive. Right after the enemy Star-Lord's turn, I think we should be able to finish this match. Their final act is going to be lit up on our agent. So now we're going to use Momentary Advantage, followed by the Memento Mori on Groot. This will definitely end his life, and then we can focus on Star-Lord with the No Mercy. By the way, with this team I did have a 240-some thousand non-crit with Anti-Venom's level 6. So what I'm thinking is, with this team up, you could maybe get a 400 to 500,000 damage Crusade. We'll definitely take a look at them again in the future, and we'll see what kind of damage we can pull out. As for this video, our final match is going to be against a Quick Lock team, and so let's go ahead and see what happens. They actually are hitting fairly hard, but they do make the mistake of using a Vortex Lariat. To be honest though, it isn't always a mistake when the AI uses it, because they do end up getting stuns, and that's why I absolutely hate that ability in the first round. Next, after using the X-Oblivion, Psylocke goes with the Psionic Shadow. So with Ka-Zar we go with the Primal Roar, and then I figured, let's go ahead and use an early jungle combo. And it massacres the enemy team. So with Psylocke gone, both their agent and Quicksilver are very hurt, and their agent actually dies to dots. That means we're going to end this one with a Crusade, and that also will end the video. Like I said, for a bonus look at Ka-Zar, go ahead and click the link on the screen right now. Lastly, I want to thank you all for watching, and ask you to please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, good luck, and take care.